Have you ever thought about life insurance and immediately pictured it as something only useful after you're gone? You're not alone. Most people see life insurance as a safety net for their loved ones after death. But what if I told you it could actually support you while you're still alive? Imagine this. You're going through life, working hard, saving up, maybe even building your dream future. Then, out of nowhere, life throws a curveball, an illness, an accident, a medical diagnosis you never saw coming. Suddenly, everything shifts. The bills start to pile up, your income takes a hit, and the stress? It's overwhelming. But here's where it gets interesting. What if your life insurance policy could actually help you now, during times like that? What if it could give you the financial breathing room you need to recover, adapt, and move forward, without draining your savings or putting your family's future at risk? In today's video, we're going to unpack exactly that. How living benefits from life insurance can be a total game changer while you're still alive. And stick around, because the last thing I'll share might change the way you think about your financial security forever. Before we dive in, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's financial and health situation is different, so always consult with a licensed professional before making decisions about insurance or health care. Also, keep in mind, scientific knowledge and financial tools are always evolving, and what works for one person might not be the right fit for another. So let's jump in. Now, when we talk about living benefits, we're referring to features in certain life insurance policies, typically permanent life insurance like whole or universal life, that allow you to access part of your death benefit while you're alive. These are often tied to specific events, like being diagnosed with a serious illness, becoming chronically ill, or needing long-term care. In other words, they provide a safety net during some of life's most challenging moments. Let me give you an example. I knew someone, let's call her Maria, who was in her mid-50s when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had a good job, decent health insurance, and some savings. But the cost of treatment, time off work, and extra help at home quickly added up. Luckily, her life insurance policy included an accelerated death benefit rider. She was able to access a portion of her policy's value to cover those costs, without having to take out loans or go into debt. That living benefit gave her the time and space she needed to focus on healing, not just surviving financially. These living benefits usually fall into a few categories: critical illness, chronic illness, and terminal illness riders. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some newer policies are starting to include long-term care options or even wellness-based features that reward you for staying healthy. Yes, really. Some insurers now offer discounts or additional benefits if you wear a fitness tracker, go to your checkups, or maintain healthy habits. It might sound futuristic, but this is already happening. According to a study from LIMRA, the Life Insurance Marketing and Research Association, over half of new permanent life insurance policies sold in the last few years include some form of living benefits. Why? Because people are realizing they want more than just a death plan. They want a life plan. And let's be honest, traditional health insurance often leaves gaps. You might have coverage for hospital stays or doctor visits, but what about lost wages? What about in-home care or travel for treatment or experimental therapies? Those things can wipe out your savings fast. That's where living benefits come in. They give you options. Now, some people hear this and think, sounds great, but I'm young and healthy. I'll think about this later. But here's the thing. The best time to get life insurance with living benefits is before you need it. When you're younger and healthier, you typically lock in better rates and have more policy options. And if something unexpected happens down the road, you've already built that safety net. There's also an emotional benefit that people don't talk about enough: peace of mind. Knowing that you have a financial cushion if life takes an unexpected turn can be incredibly empowering. It's not about being pessimistic, it's about being prepared. There's strength in that kind of planning. And here's another cool thing. Some policies allow you to build cash value over time. Money you can actually access for things like college tuition, home repairs, or starting a business. It's like having a savings account built into your insurance plan. The growth is often tax deferred, and while it's not a replacement for a full-blown retirement strategy, it can be a helpful piece of the puzzle. There's real science behind the stress finance connection too. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Health Economics found that financial stress can directly impact physical health, increasing the risk of chronic conditions like hypertension, heart disease, and even depression. So when you have tools like living benefits that help you stay afloat financially during tough times, you're also protecting your overall well-being. Now, this doesn't mean every life insurance policy comes with living benefits automatically. It's something you need to ask about. Some policies offer it as a built-in feature, while others require you to add a rider for an extra cost. But even then, the cost is often minimal compared to the potential support it can provide. So if you're someone who's been putting off looking into life insurance, or if you already have a policy but haven't reviewed it in years, this might be the perfect moment to take a second look. Ask your provider about living benefits. Talk to a licensed advisor. The more you understand your options, the more empowered you'll be to protect not just your future, but your present too. And while these first insights can already make a noticeable difference in how you view life insurance, there's even more to uncover. Small strategic choices that could reshape your financial safety net from the ground up. You know, when people first hear about living benefits, the idea can seem almost too good to be true. Insurance that actually helps you while you're alive. It's a shift in perspective. But once you see how it works, and how many real people have benefited, it starts to feel like one of those things we all should know about but somehow don't. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm too young to worry about this, or I'm too old to start something new. But here's the truth. It's never too early or too late to take control of your financial protection. Because the moment something unexpected happens, having that protection in place makes all the difference. Let's talk about chronic illness for a moment. Think about how many people you know who've dealt with conditions like arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, or even something like long COVID. These aren't necessarily terminal illnesses, but they absolutely affect quality of life. And for many people, managing these conditions means ongoing expenses, prescriptions, doctor visits, maybe even help with daily activities. With the right life insurance policy, a chronic illness rider can allow you to tap into your benefits if you're unable to perform basic activities like bathing, dressing, or feeding yourself for a certain period of time. That's not just money, it's support. It's independence. It's being able to afford care without putting pressure on your family or draining your retirement. A friend of mine, James, is a great example. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 61. It progressed slowly, but eventually, it started interfering with his ability to work and drive. He had a permanent life insurance policy with a chronic illness rider, and he was able to access a portion of his benefits to make his home more accessible, adding handrails, modifying the bathroom, even installing a stair lift. He didn't have to dip into his 401k. That policy gave him freedom, and you could see the weight lift off his shoulders when he realized he didn't have to choose between comfort and finances. One of the most common myths I hear is, well, I already have health insurance, won't that cover me? And yes, health insurance plays an important role. But here's what most people don't realize. Health insurance doesn't usually pay your mortgage if you can't work. It doesn't cover all those day-to-day costs that keep coming, no matter what you're going through. Living benefits fill in those gaps. They give you money you can use however you need. Not just for medical bills, but also for groceries, rent, childcare, or even taking a break from work to recover. It's your money. There are no restrictions on how it's spent. And speaking of work, have you ever thought about what would happen if you were suddenly unable to earn a paycheck? That's where income protection and living benefits start to overlap. When you think of your income as your most valuable asset, protecting it just makes sense. According to the Council for Disability Awareness, more than 1 in 4 people in their 20s today will experience a disabling event before retirement. That's huge. But here's the good news. Just because the statistics are real doesn't mean the outcomes have to be grim. The whole point of tools like living benefits is to change those outcomes, to give you choices and breathing room during hard times. And that, honestly, is priceless. Let's also touch on something that often gets overlooked: mental health. It's easy to focus on the physical side of illness, but what about the emotional toll? Stress, anxiety, burnout, they all affect our ability to heal and function. Having financial support during a tough time doesn't just help with bills. It can reduce stress, which has a direct impact on recovery. There was a study from the American Psychological Association that showed financial stress is one of the top causes of anxiety in the US, and it's strongly linked to chronic conditions like insomnia, heart problems, and depression. So if a living benefit helps reduce that stress, it's actually improving your health too. It's not just about dollars, it's about peace of mind. Now let's get practical for a second. If you're wondering how to start exploring living benefits, the first step is looking at what kind of life insurance policy you currently have, or what kind you might need. Term life insurance is great for covering a specific period, like while you're raising kids or paying off a mortgage. But it usually doesn't include living benefits unless you add special riders. Permanent policies, like whole or indexed universal life, often come with more flexibility. They might build cash value, last your entire life, and allow you to add those living benefit features. And yes, they're usually more expensive than term, but remember, you're not just paying for a death benefit. You're investing in living protection. And for many people, that trade-off is absolutely worth it. Some insurance companies even offer hybrid policies that combine long-term care insurance with life insurance. So if you don't end up needing long-term care, your loved ones still get a death benefit. And if you do need it, you've got coverage. It's like having your cake and eating it too. Of course, every policy is different, and not all living benefits are created equal. That's why it's so important to work with someone who really understands this stuff, a licensed agent or financial advisor who can explain your options in plain English. And don't be afraid to ask questions. This is your life, your future. You deserve to understand what you're signing up for. You might also want to think about how your insurance fits into your bigger financial picture. If you're planning for retirement, raising a family, or caring for aging parents, these policies can add a layer of security that complements your savings, investments, and other plans. Think of it like building a house. You want a solid foundation, and living benefits help reinforce that structure. And one last thing, if you've had a life change recently, marriage, divorce, new baby, new job, it's the perfect time to review your insurance. Life doesn't stay still, and your financial protection shouldn't either. So now that you've seen how living benefits can protect you during illness or tough times, let's go a little deeper. Because it's one thing to know the policy exists. It's another to understand how it can change your life, even if you're starting late, managing chronic pain, or just trying to stay motivated when things get hard. If you're enjoying this so far and want more simple, science-backed tips to stay healthy and financially empowered as you age, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We share videos just like this every week, real stories, practical ideas, and tools that make a real difference. Now let's talk about something that comes up all the time when people hear about living benefits. They say, well, I love the idea, but it's probably too late for me. Or, I wish I'd started this when I was younger. And listen, I get that. But let me tell you a story. I once met a man named Paul. He didn't start thinking seriously about his financial future until he was in his 70s. For most of his life, he figured he was too late to start anything meaningful, until a friend introduced him to the concept of living benefits. Paul ended up getting a policy with chronic illness coverage and a small cash value component. Within a few years, not only was he feeling more secure, but he had access to funds he later used when he had a minor stroke and needed in-home rehab care. The insurance didn't cover everything, but it gave him just enough to stay independent and avoid burdening his kids. He told me, I feel like I took control of my life again. And honestly, that's the kind of transformation we're talking about. Sometimes it's not even about illness. It's about peace of mind and knowing that if something does happen, you're not helpless. Because here's the thing, life isn't about never facing challenges. It's about being ready for them. And that leads us to one of the most powerful but underrated aspects of living benefits, consistency and mindset. It's easy to plan for the best case scenario, but when you plan for the hard days too, that's real strength. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that even just 10 extra minutes of movement a day in older adults could lead to a longer lifespan. That shows how small efforts over time add up, and the same principle applies to your finances. It's not about dumping all your money into one insurance plan. It's about layering your protection in a way that fits your life. Maybe you start with a small policy. Maybe you add a rider. Maybe you build a habit of reviewing your financial plan once a year. These small, consistent steps help create a safety net that's actually there when you need it. And we can't talk about staying strong without talking about the emotional side of things. If you've ever faced a medical diagnosis or a financial setback, you know how quickly the stress can spiral. That's where living benefits become more than just numbers. They become stability. There's something incredibly powerful about knowing you won't have to choose between getting care and paying your bills, between resting and rushing back to work. That kind of relief doesn't just help you recover, it helps your body, mind, and relationships stay strong too. In fact, research shows that financial insecurity can weaken the immune system, raise cortisol levels, and increase inflammation in the body. And according to a 2022 report from the CDC, chronic stress is now linked to everything from heart disease to cognitive decline. So by removing some of that financial pressure, you're actually helping your health too. Let's also talk about caregivers for a moment. Maybe you're not the one facing an illness, but someone you love is. If your partner, parent, or child falls ill, having a policy with living benefits could allow you to take time off, hire help, or simply be there in ways that would otherwise be impossible. That's something money alone can't always buy: presence. And when we talk about staying strong emotionally, one of the biggest contributors to resilience is connection. Knowing you're supported, feeling like you're not going through something alone. And yes, insurance can be part of that support system. It's not the only piece, of course, but it can free you up to focus on what matters most: healing, family, rest, recovery. Even small living benefit payments, just a few $1,000s, can make the difference between stress and security. Between "how will I do this" and "I've got this." Let me give you another real story. There was a woman named Denise, single mom, 2 kids, worked full-time in retail. She didn't think life insurance was for her. "It's for rich people," she told me. But after one of her co-workers had a medical emergency and nearly lost everything, Denise sat down with a licensed agent and found a policy she could afford, just $35 a month. It had a critical illness rider. 2 years later, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. That rider allowed her to access $25,000 from her policy while she was in treatment. It paid her rent, covered groceries, and gave her the flexibility to rest instead of rushing back to work. She said, "That insurance saved me in more ways than one." And it all started with a simple conversation. Now, maybe you're not facing anything like that right now. Maybe you're healthy, your job is stable, and everything's going smoothly. That's exactly when to think about this. Because if there's one thing we all know, it's that life can change in an instant. And when you're prepared, you don't panic, you pivot. So whether you're starting small or building something more robust, just know this: you are not powerless. Living benefits are designed to empower you. They give you options. They help you stay in control, even when life feels unpredictable. And remember, no matter where you're starting from, the goal isn't perfection. It's progress, one small step at a time. Because when you have the right tools and the right mindset, you can turn even the hardest seasons into something strong, something stable, something beautiful. Now that you have all these tools in your corner, physical, nutritional, emotional, and financial, it's time to bring it all together. Because the most important part of all this, it's not just about protection, it's about how you live your life, day by day, with strength, intention, and peace of mind. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. We've covered a lot today, but it all boils down to this: living benefits aren't just about policies and paperwork. They're about giving you the power to live well, with dignity and confidence, no matter what life throws your way. Aging, illness, unexpected twists, they're part of the human experience. But what if we could meet those challenges not with fear, but with preparation? Not with panic, but with peace? That's the gift living benefits offer. They shift the conversation from "what if" to "I've got this." So let's take a breath and recap, not like a checklist, but more like a story you can step into. Because this is your life, and it's worth protecting. We talked about how chronic, critical, and terminal illness riders on life insurance policies can provide real-time access to your coverage while you're alive. Whether it's covering in-home care, offsetting lost income, or simply giving you breathing room during treatment or recovery, those living benefits can be the difference between surviving and thriving through adversity. We talked about how these features are not just for older folks. In fact, the earlier you start, the more options you have. But even if you're already in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, it's not too late. This is about building a safety net, one that fits your life, your family, your goals. We saw how science supports this mindset, how reducing financial stress can improve health outcomes, how emotional support and security can boost immunity and decrease inflammation, how knowing you have a plan brings not only financial clarity, but emotional resilience. And we heard real stories, like Paul, who found strength in his 70s, like Denise, the single mom who made a small monthly decision that turned into a life-saving support system. These aren't extreme cases, they're everyday people who made a smart, empowering choice before they had to. Now let's zoom out for a second, because life insurance with living benefits? That's just one piece of a bigger picture. The real takeaway here is this: aging well, living well, staying strong. It's not about chasing youth. It's about owning your future. It's about knowing your worth and building habits and protections that support the life you want. Think about it. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to be an expert. You don't even need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. One phone call, one conversation, one small shift. Maybe that shift is reaching out to a trusted financial advisor and saying, "Hey, can you walk me through my options?" Maybe it's reviewing your current policy and asking, "Do I have living benefits?" Maybe it's sharing this video with someone you love, because sometimes the best gift we can give is knowledge that makes a difference. And hey, let's be real. It's normal to feel a little overwhelmed at first. Life insurance can sound intimidating, but the truth? The best plans are the ones you actually understand, the ones that feel doable, that fit your budget, that match your values. And that's why we're here, to simplify the complex, to show you that these tools are for you, not just for someone wealthier, younger, or more put together. You deserve support. You deserve options. You deserve to feel safe in your own life. One more thing before we wrap up. Let's not forget the power of community. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Comment. Start a conversation. Because you never know who needs to hear it. You might be the person who sparks someone else's transformation. Experts like Dr. Michael Greger and institutions like Johns Hopkins and Harvard have all echoed a similar truth across studies. Your lifestyle, your choices, your planning, these are the biggest predictors of how you'll age. Not your genes, not your luck, you. And that's the most hopeful news of all. Because you don't have to wait for a diagnosis to start taking charge. You don't have to wait for retirement to build peace of mind. You don't have to wait until it's too late. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. And know that every step you take toward protecting your future is a step toward freedom, clarity, and calm. So here's to you, the dreamer, the planner, the doer. Whether you're just getting started or deep into your journey, know this: you have the power to shape your future. Not with fear, but with wisdom. Not with luck, but with intention. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical tips for healthy, empowered living. We're here every week with new insights to help you thrive at every age. We'd really love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future topics or questions you want answered, write to us in the comments below. We read every message, and your voice truly matters. Here's to living your best life, today, tomorrow, and every day after. With strength, support, and a whole lot of heart. You've got this.